Welcome to all of you in this video and on my YouTube channel. I am Audhesh Pratap Patel, and today in this video we will see that how Constitution is amended according to the procedure laid down in Article 368 of Part 20 of Constitution. So let's start. So see, if a Constitution has to be amended, first of all, a Constitution Amendment Bill has to be prepared. Now, once the Constitution Amendment Bill is prepared, it has to be introduced in the Parliament. Now, the first question arises that we have a bicameral legislature. We have two houses in the Parliament. So, in which house the bill should be presented or the bill should be introduced? Well, the answer to this question is that it can be introduced in either house of the Parliament. The Constitution Amendment Bill can be introduced in either house of the Parliament. It can be introduced either in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. Now, when it is introduced in either house of the Parliament, it does not require the prior recommendation of the President. There are some bills like money bills which require the prior recommendation of the President before they are introduced in the houses. But here, in case of Constitution Amendment Bill, no prior recommendation of the President is required. So, the Constitution Amendment Bill is introduced in either house of the Parliament without any prior recommendation of the President. So no prior recommendation of the President is required. Now, the next question which arises here is that who can introduce this bill in either house of the Parliament? So the answer to this question is very simple. It can be introduced either by a minister or by a private member. So the Constitution Amendment Bill can be introduced either by a minister or by a private member. Now here the question arises that who is a private member? We all know about minister. We have heard a lot about them, but who is a private member? So a member of the house who is not a minister is called a private member. So the Constitution Amendment Bill can be introduced in either house of the Parliament, either by a minister or by a private member. Now, after the successful introduction of the Constitution Amendment Bill in any house of the Parliament, what needs to be done? What is the second stage? The next stage is the passing of the bill. So how the bill should be passed in the Parliament? Well, the answer is this, that the bill should be passed in either house of the Parliament with special majority. So bill should be passed in either house or I should say in both the house, in both the houses with special majority. Now, as I said, that bill should be passed in both the houses of the Parliament with special majority. Now, what do I mean by special majority? When I say special majority, I am talking about the kind of majority which combines the majority of total membership of that house and two-third majority of those people who are sitting and voting. So this kind of majority is called special majority. The Constitution Amendment Bill should be passed in both the houses of Parliament with special majority. Now, in case of any disagreement, okay, suppose if there is any disagreement on any provision of the Constitution Amendment Bill between both the houses, there is no provision of any joint sitting. The bill must be passed in both the houses separately. So there is no provision of joint sitting. The bill must be passed separately. Now, if this Constitution Amendment Bill seeks any changes in any of the federal provisions of the Constitution, then it has to be sent to the legislative assemblies of the Indian states, and it must garner the support of the legislative assemblies of half of the Indian states. So, in case it tampers with the federal provisions, in case the bill seeks any change in federal provisions, then it must receive ratification by legislative assemblies of half of the states. Now, let's assume that the Constitution Amendment Bill has passed in both the houses of Parliament separately and has also garnered the ratification of legislative assemblies of half of the states. Then what? Then it is presented to the president for his final assent. Now, at this stage, what are the powers and authorities of the president over the Constitution Amendment Bill? Well, the answer to this question is very simple, that the president does not enjoy suspensive veto power or the pocket veto over the Constitution Amendment Bill. He must approve the Constitution Amendment Bill immediately. Okay, so the president is bound to give his assent on the Constitution Amendment Bill, and he cannot return it for reconsideration of the Houses of Parliament. So this is the way how a Constitution Amendment Bill is converted into a Constitution Amendment Act. So let's summarize the process. As far as the Constitution amendment is concerned, for the sake of amendment of the Constitution, first of all, a Constitution Amendment Bill has to be prepared. This bill is introduced in either house of the Parliament. It can be introduced in either house of the Parliament, either by a minister or by a private member. Now, once it is successfully introduced, it has to be passed by both the houses of Parliament separately. There is no provision of any joint sitting in case of disagreement, and each house should pass it, okay, with the special majority. Now, if this bill seeks any changes in the federal provisions of the Constitution, it must be receiving the approval or endorsement of half of the states' legislative assemblies. If the legislative assemblies of half of the Indian states ratify the bill, if it receives ratification by the legislative assemblies of the half of the states, then it is presented to the president for his final assent. Now, the president cannot return the bill for the sake of reconsideration of the houses. He must give his approval, his assent to this bill. So this is the way the Constitution is amended, and we will see each other in the next video. Stay tuned. Thank you.